Resourceful Designer, episode 160, Client Onboarding, Part 1, The Process.
Welcome to the Resourceful Designer podcast, offering solutions to streamline your graphic and web design business so you can get back to designing. And now, your host. In the age-old debate, he'd choose Marianne over Ginger. Mark Dickout.
Welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in this week. I'm always glad when you can join me to discuss running our graphic design business. Now, this episode is the first in a multi-part series that I hope will help you land more clients. One of the most asked questions I hear from designers is, how do I get clients? Now, this series won't address how to get clients. For that, maybe you should check out my blog post that I wrote called 10 Proven Ways to Attract Design Clients, which you can get to at resourcefuldesigner.com/attract-clients. So this series won't help you attract clients, but what it will do is help you convert more of the potential clients that contact you into paying clients. Now, on that note, the resource of the week I'll be sharing this week is one to help you get your name out there and hopefully help in attracting those potential clients. And then I'll end the episode with a question from Fanis about determining a client's goals and figuring out who their competition is. So I've had a pretty busy week so far this week. I had one client, I had to do all their social media branding. They are on just about every platform, so they wanted a cohesive look across everything, so I set that up for them. And I have to say that my new endeavor, podcastbranding.co, is gaining traction. I talked to a new client yesterday who was contacting me just for podcast artwork, but in the process, we got talking, and by the end of the call, he had ordered just about every service I offer through that website, including he wanted a website for his podcast, social media branding, lead magnets, an ebook, the whole gamut. So I have to say, for a service that I launched just a little over a month ago, it's really starting to gain traction, and I'm really happy with that. And finally, I received notice today that the logos I submitted to Logo Wave's Logo Awards did not win anything. Oh well, but there are some great winners out there. If you're curious about Logo Wave, check out mylogowave.com. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning, this week's resource of the week is one that can help you attract design clients, and that's my 4-week marketing boost. Now, this is an ebook I put together that contains 20 short, actionable items that you can do to help improve the overall look of your brand, your presence online, and overall. And the reason I put this together is because people often make a decision upon a first impression. So you want to give the best first impression you can. So I divided this ebook into 20 actionable steps, and I call it the 4-week marketing boost because each one of them is supposed to take around 20 to 30 minutes to complete. And you're supposed to do one per day over the course of 4 weeks. So 5 per week over 4 weeks. And at the end of the 4 weeks, you will be in a better position to create that best first impression. And a good first impression is a crucial step in getting people to contact you for hiring you. So if you haven't already done so, you can download this ebook absolutely free of charge by visiting marketingboost.net. Or if you are in the USA, you can text the word marketing boost, that's all one word, to 44222. Once again, you can visit marketingboost.net, or in the USA, text marketing boost to 44222 to get a copy of my free 4-week marketing boost. And now, client onboarding, part 1, the process. So what is client onboarding? Client onboarding is the process of turning potential clients into paying clients. It's the process of introducing clients to your business, addressing their questions and concerns, and ensuring they understand what services you offer and the process that you use in offering those services. Onboarding is all the steps from initial contact with the client until you start working on their design project. It gives you a chance to explain to a client what they should expect from you, what their part in the relationship is, how communication between the two of you will happen, when and how you'll be paid, and so much more. Over the next few weeks, I'm going to dive into specific parts of the onboarding process. But for today, I'm going to talk about the process as a whole. So why is client onboarding important? Well, let's look at this from two different perspectives. From the client's point of view, the onboarding process is a vital part of building and nurturing the relationship between you and them. It's a way of ensuring the client that you're all on the same page when it comes to working together. Face it, clients don't often know how partnering with a designer is supposed to work. It's actually nerve-wracking for them. They have this business or this idea, and they're handing over a very important part of it, the visual identity, which could influence their business for years to come. They're handing this over to you. They're giving it to you without knowing what the outcome's going to be. So with proper client onboarding, you're giving the client a glimpse of what it'll be like working together, and hopefully you'll leave that client feeling confident that they've made the right choice in hiring you. Now, from your perspective, the onboarding process is a way for you to grasp the scope of the project the client is bringing to you, as well as giving you a chance to get to know the client. You get to learn their communication style, which allows you to address any concerns you may have talking with them so that those concerns don't become problems later on. It also allows you to show the client the plan of attack for tackling their project, letting them know what is expected from all parties. Now, the onboarding process is also a great way for you to weed out potential bad clients. At this point, you have not agreed to anything. There's no signed contract, there's no proposal, nothing. So you have the chance to walk away. Now, if you want to know more about red flags, you can check out episode 133 of the podcast titled 12 Red Flags for Spotting Bad Design Clients. And that episode's available at resourcefuldesigner.com/episode 133. And finally, the onboarding process is a great opportunity for you to show the client just how awesome it'll be to work with you. By doing so, you'll put them at ease and solidify in their mind that they have chosen the right designer by choosing you. I want to share a quick story with you here. Just over a month ago, I went down to Florida. There was a podcast conference there. And I flew into Orlando and I took an Uber from the airport to the resort, and at the end of my stay from the resort back to the airport. Now, if any of you have ever ridden an Uber, you pretty well know the experience. You call up the app, you request a vehicle, it shows up at your designated pickup area. You get in and they drive you wherever you have to go. It's kind of like a glorified taxi for those of you who don't know Uber. Well, I want to share the two experiences I had taking the Uber. So at the airport, when the Uber driver pulled up, he saw that I had a suitcase, so he popped the trunk. So I went around back, I put the suitcase in the trunk. And then when I went to get into the car, I saw that his front seat was full of stuff. So I got in the back seat and he started driving off. He did ask me to confirm where it was I was going. And then we had some idle chit chat along the way. And it was a great conversation. Good guy. And he got me to the resort without any problem. Now, when I was at the resort on the day I was checking out and I called an Uber, when that Uber pulled up, the driver immediately jumped out of the car, went to the back, opened the trunk, took my suitcase from me, put it into the back. Then he asked me if I would prefer sitting in the front seat or the back seat. And I said, oh, it'd be nice to sit in the front seat. I get to see a little bit more as we're driving. So he opened up the door for me and let me in. Then he went around, sat down, then he leaned over and he shook my hand. He put his hand out for me to shake his, I should say. And he introduced himself. Even though I already knew from the app what his name was, he introduced himself and I introduced myself. And then we proceeded to drive to the airport. And we had some great conversation along the way and he dropped me off. Now, in both situations, I used the same app to order an Uber driver. I got in a very similar type of vehicle and they efficiently drove me to my destination. But who do you think at the end, if you've ever driven Uber after you're dropped off, you usually get a little notification and it says, do you want to leave a tip for the driver? Who do you think out of those two drivers got the bigger tip? Of course, it's the one that went out of his way. That was his client onboarding process. He got out of his vehicle. He took the bag and put it in his vehicle for me. He offered me a choice of seating positions. He reached over and shook my hand and introduced himself. I had a much better experience with him than with the first driver. They both did the exact same job. They both got me from point A to point B. But if I was to choose again, if I could pick, I want a specific driver, you know darn well that it's the second driver I would choose every single time because of that experience. Well, that's what client onboarding can do. If you do it properly, the client will choose you over any other designer because of the experience they have. To sum it up, client onboarding is all about keeping the client happy because a happy client will come back for more. That's how important client onboarding is. Now, I'm calling it a client onboarding process because as a process, it has a structure. And it's a structure that over time, you will become intimately familiar with and comfortable with, and automatically start using it with clients. And once you get used to using an onboarding process, you will find it much, much easier to land potential clients that contact you and convert them into paying clients. If you're one of those designers that is used to people reaching out to you, sending you inquiries, but very few of them are converting into paying clients, then you really need to evaluate your client onboarding process. When somebody reaches out to you with a job they want to quote, they want to ask you something, you can't simply start throwing random information at them and expect them to immediately come on board. It's overwhelming for them. I've already told you, most clients don't know how to interact with a designer. So if you overload them with all sorts of information just thrown at them randomly, they're not going to know what to expect or what to take out of it. And yet, that's the exact strategy that many designers use. They give as much information as they can without taking the client's point of view in mind. And that's probably why those designers find client acquisition so difficult. Onboarding involves not only informing a potential client of what they need to know, but it's also listening to them and answering their questions and their concerns because they don't know how to work with a designer. It's about making the experience of hiring a designer as smooth as possible for them. If you don't do it right, you'll leave the client with a bad impression, and the chances of them hiring you or coming back will be very slim. However, if you do it right, the client will come to believe that there is nobody else that they would want to work with but you. Part of running a design business is being a salesperson. And I know that sounds like such a dirty word, but that's what we are. We have to sell our services, what we offer. And as any good salesperson knows, having a good onboarding process is half the battle of winning over clients. So when should you start your onboarding process? The process should start as soon as a client reaches out to you. There are various steps to the whole onboarding process, and I'm going to cover those in the next few episodes of the podcast. But overall, just so you know, the client onboarding is something that goes from first contact, when they initially reach out to you, all the way until you start their project, and sometimes even beyond that. But usually it's up to the point where you start their project. That's the client onboarding, from first initial contact to beginning their project. And you use the onboarding process to give you direction on how to proceed with the client and with the project. You see, anytime you start working with a client, especially a new client, both sides have a sense of enthusiasm towards the project. I mean, the client is very excited to get this done. They're excited to see what you can do. They're nervous, but they are excited. And during that initial contact, when they're discussing things with you, lots of ideas will go back and forth, they'll get excited. And then you, because you've got this new project, and we all know that new projects are so exciting. Doesn't matter what they are. Once you get working on them, that excitement dies down a little bit. But the anticipation of starting a new project is very, very exciting. But as you're beginning this conversation and ideas go back and forth, before you know it, decisions have been made without any form of direction behind them. Well, client onboarding gives you a chance to set that direction. Part of the whole process is creating a schedule and a plan for the project you're going to work on. This allows you to set out roles by determining who will be doing what, whether it's you, your team, or the client. And it'll let them know how long the process should take so that they don't expect to see results within a couple of days if it's in fact going to take a few weeks. It gives them a chance to know what is expected from all parties. And that way, nothing is left up in the air and there are no surprises once everything gets started. Design projects go so much smoother when everyone involved knows what to expect. Now, speaking of what to expect, the client onboarding process is all about managing client expectations. I mentioned this a couple of times already that clients don't know how partnering with a designer works. Now, onboarding can help alleviate this by managing their expectations. Part of the process is to make sure clients know what they can expect and what not to expect from you when it comes to your process and how you work. Take scope creep, for example. It's the bane of many designers. However, most clients don't even know it's a problem. They don't think it's a big deal when they ask you to add this, or can you just do this one more thing, or why don't we just do this as well? They don't know it's a problem. So to prevent scope creep, you need to outline your policies during the onboarding process to let clients know, 1, defining exactly what is involved with their project, 2, explaining what is allowed and what isn't allowed within that definition of their project, 3, letting them know the costs involved should additional work be required, and 4, making sure the client knows exactly what it is they're paying for. Setting them straight on the way you work and the process you use is a key ingredient to a successful project and a long and prosperous relationship between you and that client. The whole thing is to show the client why choosing you was the right decision. Client onboarding isn't just about preventing potential problems. It's also about showcasing what it is that you can do and how much value you can bring to the client. It's the perfect opportunity to pitch other ideas, to sell more of your services. This is very important because, as I mentioned earlier, at this stage, when you're discussing a brand new project, the client is very excited. They want to get their project started. And that excitement over this whole thing lends very well to you being able to introduce other or creative ideas and other services that you can do for them. At this point in the process is when the client is most receptive to other ideas. That's the reason that whenever I have a web design client, I wait for this particular opportunity to pitch my maintenance package. The client is so excited after we've talked and we've set everything up and they know exactly what to expect and we're just getting ready to start the project. The client is so excited at that point, it's the perfect opportunity for me to pitch my maintenance package. Because at that point, the client's going to think, that makes perfect sense. Sure, I'll go for it. And I can tell you that 99% of my clients have agreed to my maintenance package because I wait till they're the most excited in order to pitch it to them. So what is the outcome if you have a good client onboarding process? When you're successful with it, you'll not only increase the percentage of potential clients that convert to paid clients, and that is a given. If you do this process right, more and more people that come to you that are maybe shopping around for multiple designers, they are going to want to work with you. Think of my Uber story. If I had the chance, I would definitely choose that second driver again. They both did the exact service that I hired them for. They both did it very well. But given a chance, I would want that second driver again because of that experience that I had with him. So by doing a proper client onboarding, you not only increase the percentage of potential clients that convert to paid clients, but those who do convert, they'll stay longer and be more loyal to you. They'll order more products and services from you. And possibly the most important, they will become ambassadors and they will advocate for your company and services. And by them spreading the word, they will help your design business grow. And that is one of the most valuable results of proper client onboarding. So that's the overall process. Now, as I mentioned in the next couple of episodes, I'm going to break down individual parts of this process that'll help you. When you put it all together, you should have a successful client onboarding process. So please tune in to the next few episodes. Now, I would love to know if you already have a client onboarding process in place. If you do, leave me a comment. Visit resourcefuldesigner.com/episode 160 and let me know all about your process in the comments on that page. And now, this week's question of the week. This week's question comes in from Fanis. It says, "My name is Fanis and I'm from Greece. By reading about graphic design process, I always turn out the same issue. What if I live on an island and most of my projects are about tourism, like hotel brochures, maps, rental brochures, etc.? How can I define my client goals and who may be my client's competition? Thank you." Well, thank you very much for the question, Fanis. And I can actually appreciate this. I worked for years. I worked for our local tourism board. In fact, for over a decade, every single piece of marketing that was used to attract people to our area, I had a hand in designing. Now, of course, client goals when it comes to tourism is pretty much the same regardless of who you are. It's to try to get more people, whether that's the area or it's the hotel, bed and breakfasts, restaurants, gift shops. The idea is to get more people in their door. So the goal is to make the designs as attractive as possible, to show the benefits, not necessarily the features. That's one of the things that a lot of clients fail to recognize is features are great, but benefits are so much better at attracting people. For example, say the hotel has a massage parlor inside the hotel. If it's some sort of resort and they offer massage, a feature is that they have 3 masseuses on staff. But the benefit is the guest gets to enjoy some relaxing time to themselves while being pampered in the massage parlor. That's the benefit as opposed to the feature. A feature is the hotel has a beautiful pool. The benefit is the client gets to relax poolside under the sun while enjoying, poolside wait staff who brings the drinks to them and that sort of thing. People want to know what they are going to get out of their experience. They don't necessarily want to know what's available there for them. They want to know what the outcome's going to be. So your client's goals should be to attract people by showing those benefits. Now, as for who the competition is, anytime you do anything, it's a little easier to find the competition, at least in my experience. If you're doing a brochure for one hotel, then every other hotel around is their competition. And you've got to figure out a way to show, again, the benefits, not necessarily the features, but show the benefits of why they should choose one hotel over the other. Every hotel has a television in the room. And a lot of hotels will fight. Will say, well, we're better because we have a 40-inch TV. And another hotel will say, well, we're better because we have a 50-inch TV. Well, the hotel that says we're better because you can relax in our luxury rooms, sit back and enjoy your favorite shows on our 50-inch TV. That's the hotel's going to win over the ones who say we have a 40, we have a 50, because they're showing the benefit. They're not just showing the feature that they have a 50-inch TV, they're showing the benefits of what having a 50-inch TV can do for the guest. Now, you mentioned that you're on an island. You also have to look at your competition as every other island. I don't know if you're in an island chain or what, but let's say it's an island destination. Every other island that's in that area is your competition. If it's not an island, you're doing stuff for a tourism bureau or tourism area. Every other tourism area around there is your competition. So when somebody's thinking of going on holiday, They look at an area and they have to decide, why would I want to go to one particular area as opposed to another area? So you need to study all the different islands around your area, the different mainland tourist areas, and figure out how you can incorporate, again, the benefits of coming to your island and why people would want to go there as opposed to somewhere else. Or you can do stuff where they want to come there in addition to somewhere else. For example, say there's a resort nearby that has a nice beach. I don't know if there is. I don't know the geography of Greece very much. But say there's an area where there's some sort of resort with something. Well, maybe those people might want to take a day and go visit the island and see what it has to offer to them. So maybe your marketing, the way you design stuff, can be to attract those people that are staying at a nearby place and offer them reasons for them to take a day and come to the island and see what the island has to offer. So that's the biggest takeaway I can give to you, Finis, is remember when you're designing stuff for hotels, rental brochures, maps, not so much, although you can still do it, is to make sure that no matter what the client says, you want to be displaying the benefits to the potential guests, the people, the visitors. It's their benefits that are going to get them there. I'll just share a very short story. I had a client who was a day spa. They did hair and nails and massage, and they had machines that would do facials and all sorts of stuff. I don't know a whole lot about that, but the owner contacted me and they wanted a brochure done. And in the brochure, they were talking about this great new machine they had bought that does something to the skin. I don't remember exactly, microderm something or other. I forget what the actual terminology is, but it did something to the skin. And they were super excited because this was the first machine of its kind in all of Canada, and they had it. So they wanted to put out a brochure that listed all the different things this machine can do. And I told them their clients don't care about all those different things. The client cares about what the machine can do for them. So the fact that the machine uses a certain color of laser light to do whatever, the client doesn't care what color of laser they use or the frequency or the intensity of the laser. The client wants to know what that laser can do for them. If it can improve their skin, if it could remove the blemishes, if it could, remove hair or whatever the case. That's the way you need to focus things. And the same thing for tourism. And the hard part is sometimes convincing the client that, yes, all the features they're listing are great, but sometimes you've got to turn it around and see the benefits of those things. And that's how you present it to visitors. So that's my answer to you, Finis. I hope that covers what you had in mind. But thank you very much for submitting your question. Now, if you would like your question answered on a future episode of the podcast, please visit resourcefuldesigner.com/feedback and submit it there. Now, I want to take this opportunity to remind you of the Resourceful Designer community. We've had a couple more people join in the last little while, and we're having some great conversations over there. It's so much more personable than the Facebook group. We're getting to know each other. We're getting to understand each other. We're really helping each other out. The thing is we're actually making an investment in each other. We aren't just offering advice. We're holding people accountable for the things that they're talking about, the things they're wanting to do. We're helping them. We're pushing them. We're encouraging them. And it means so much more because of the intimacy of the group than when somebody encourages you on Facebook, because most of the people that encourage you, you have no idea who these people are. Well, in the Resourceful Designer community, we're getting to know these people. So when they encourage you, it means so much more and it makes you feel so much better. And you actually feel that encouragement. So this community is for people who are serious about their design business. They want to grow. They want this advocacy. They want the accountability. They want people they can trust and turn to. That's why I built this community. And so far, it is exactly what I was hoping it would be. So if you're interested in checking it out, please visit resourcefuldesigner.com/community and invest in your business's future. So that's it for this episode. Make sure you tune in next week as I give you part 2 of Client Onboarding, which will cover the intro packet. And please, if you do know anybody that would enjoy the podcast, let them know about it. It's available on all platforms podcasts can be found, as well as the app, available in both the iOS and Android app stores. So that's it for me. I am Mark Decote, wishing you all the best with your graphic design business, and as always, reminding you to stay creative.
Thanks for listening to the Resourceful Designer Podcast at resourcefuldesigner.com.